Hello and welcome to Aren't You Exhausted, the podcast. I'm your host, Ashley, and twice a week I sit down with my husband, Liam, as co-host, and we discuss things going on in Girl World, sometimes Am I the Asshole subreddit posts, and random other subjects pertaining to entertainment. The podcast isn't like typical reaction channels, as this is an audio-only format typically, and is dedicated to those who like to put something on to listen to while going about their day. Aren't You Exhausted? The podcast is uploaded every Wednesday and Saturday typically. This is subject to change if I'm feeling under the weather or my work schedule changes. Liam's Twitch is twitch.tv Liam the Diam, D-I-A-M. And Liam's YouTube channel is LiamGameLordsOnline, if you'd be so inclined to visit to show some support. Aren't You Exhausted? The podcast is now on podcasting apps such as Spotify, Anchor, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts.
You guys, it's exhausting. Aren't you exhausted? Truly, truly. Aren't you exhausted by it? Like, truly. Is it
true? Hello. And welcome back to another episode of Aren't You Exhausted? The podcast. This is your Wednesday episode. I am your host, Ashley, and joining me tonight is my lovely husband that has probably ripped every hair from underneath his head out due to the technical difficulties we've been having in starting this podcast tonight. Liam.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? We have had a hell of a time. We were supposed to react to something, and of course, as soon as we go to record this, it just doesn't want to work.
Yeah.
So here we are with a off-the-cuff impromptu episode.
Yeah, because I didn't bother scripting anything to have like guidelines on what to talk about tonight. So this is completely off the cuff. So hopefully it goes over well.
Yeah, this is exciting. Very exciting.
We were going to react to Chantal's Foodie Beauty's Kuwaiti apartment tour that she did on their couples channel. Obviously, that's not happening because we couldn't figure out how to get fucker to work. So
that being said, we both have watched it.
Did you watch it?
I did watch it. You sent it to me, so I've seen it. So we can't talk about it. It's just a live reaction is not going to happen.
Yeah.
But
so we've lived in a small apartment before.
Yes, we have.
And I've lived in a multitude of places that have been small for as many people have lived there. So seeing her apartment, I mean, I am giving the benefit of the doubt that it is in the Middle East and things are done differently there, but having seen other apartments in the area through researching myself, I think they got the shitty end of the stick here. I think they're living in the slums.
You know, I don't know slums or not. Like, that's against the point. Here's my biggest problem, and this is kind of what the issue is with the apartment. You know, we talk about size in the apartment, and that's all fine. The problem is they got a small-ass apartment and yet decided to put the biggest fucking appliances in there.
Yeah.
Like, that kitchen is small. A small kitchen is very hard to work with. We have a small kitchen, and we've got more room than them.
Yeah.
Like, we have enough room for all of us to sit in there.
All of us and our cats.
Right, all of us and the cats. Like, we've had 3 grown adults in there.
Yeah.
We've had, 3 grown adults and children in there. But it's not big. Like, it's definitely like, oh, get out of my way. But it's big enough that you can cook and stuff. But I wouldn't call it small. I wouldn't call it big. Her fucking apartment tour, you couldn't even open the fridge with how small it was and how big she is.
Not all the way. I don't think they could open it all the way.
No, she couldn't open it at all. Like, she could open it enough for, like, maybe...
Well, not with her sitting in front of it. She wouldn't be able to open it.
No way. Yeah, exactly. And... that in and of itself is like one thing, but I just don't understand how she plans on cooking. Like, the oven can't be opened either. So
you want to know what's really funny about this whole thing? Okay, the apartment tour, she's showing off like the quote unquote renovations that Sala made while she was away in Canada. And let me tell you all he actually did. He hired somebody to bring in a secondhand stove, washer and dryer, and the refrigerator. And then he hired somebody to route the electrical so that they could turn the stove on and off through a light switch. And then hung those stupid ass moon and star lights for Ramadan
Yeah.
across the
Which looked
midsection
goofy
of
as
their
all
living room,
hell.
which is very awkward placement. And I'm just like, it could have been so much better done. For 3 months, I mean, you put together a whole apartment in a few months before I came to live in Florida, so
I mean, I definitely I understand that I understand, like, her having, not a lot of money and all this stuff, but she does tend to, gloat and stuff about, "Oh, I've got this new iPhone and I got, all this new stuff." But at the end of the day, like, you shoulda gotten a bigger apartment. It just looks I don't know, like, it looks cramped.
you know what it looks like to me? Because I've seen it a lot growing up. It looks like rundown Section 8 housing.
Yeah, it just
Like, not even good Section 8 housing, because there's good Section 8 out there, but it looks like rundown Section 8 housing.
it honestly, it kinda looks like I don't wanna say a studio apartment, but the way they have it set up, it's almost like that they put that curtain
Mhm.
in the way, be like, "Oh, this is, we can have separate rooms." But to me, that shrinks the apartment even more,
And what's
and
even funnier about that is, like, it's not separating the apartment really, it's just creating a barrier between the front door and their living area so that if Chantal wants to sit without her hijab and stuff on, when they have food delivered or people over, they can't see her sitting
but,
without it
like,
on.
why can't you just close the door? Like, why can't you just go in, like, the bedroom and close the door? Why do they have to
Well,
put up what looks like a blanket?
I'm sure the central air is probably more focused out in the living areas I like, as opposed to the bedrooms.
Yeah, it was very weird. It wasn't awful, like, I'm not gonna sit here and dunk on it because at the end of the day, it's an apartment and that's fine. And honestly, the only reason I even, like, am kinda dunking on her is because she's so full of herself and acting like, she's hot shit, and here she is showing her apartment, and it's like it's
And
just
she's, like, talking about her husband having a job, how he's taking care of her and yada yada blah blah. Yet they everything is mismatched in their house. They have 2 paintings hanging on the wall that
yeah,
don't
I didn't
correlate
get
with anything.
she kept saying, "This is a painting, it's a nice picture, and this is a nice picture." It's
And
like,
then had to, like,
"Well,
go along and
they're
correlate
so
with why she hung it up
small."
because it depicts something from Syria, which is her husband's Syrian.
Well,
But I'm just like,
the pictures are so fucking small. It's just funny because, like, there's so
so
like,
much wall
this
space.
this huge wall, and then, like, it's almost like they picked up something from the dollar store that looked nice, and
Not
look,
even the dollar store. It looks like something that somebody picked up from Goodwill, because all those paintings that they have, like,
yeah,
the random ass
like the
paintings in
right,
Goodwill. Ugh,
but Rachel, I think, has bigger paintings.
they do,
I'm
they do.
fine with the painting, it's just so small that it just, like,
It's almost
accentuates
comical.
it just makes the house look even more run down.
Yeah. And then
And he's got his, like, gaming section, which is, like,
takes
so
up
w
half of the living room.
it is the living room. It's like the main attraction, so she's gotta sit there and watch him fucking game all night, which, is not fun for anyone
Well, while he's
who's
gaming, she's eating on live stream for people, so I guess
I
it
guess.
it evens out.
Yeah, weird. Very weird.
Um, but I thought it was so funny, like, she's sitting here, "He did this while I was away. I was away for 3 months, and it looks so nice." What did he do? Like,
I'll tell you what he did.
it's
He
not
set up a fucking
decorated, not
bachelor pad. He
renovated.
set up a bachelor pad. He did that, and look, that's not a disc, but let's be honest, there's a huge difference when you're living with someone and when you're living on your own. He set up an apartment that is all about his needs and wants. It's his gaming section is right smack dab in the middle. And the kitchen is built for, I mean, it's even too small for him, to be fair.
Well,
But
everybody that I've seen react to the kitchen area is under the impression that because they don't eat in very often, they don't cook very often, that it's just there to be there.
that's even dumber
Yeah.
that they bought that fucking huge fridge. Because I'm telling you right now, that fridge does not go with the rest of the apartment.
No.
That fridge, like, things are not adding up. They bought a nicer fridge.
Well, no, it's everything is secondhand. It's
But I'm saying
used.
that fridge does not match. Like, that fridge is pretty nice. I thought the fridge looked nice,
Yeah.
but the rest of the apartment looks like shit. So it's like, so they bought this nice fridge, but they bought a huge nice fridge. Why wouldn't they just buy a smaller fridge? If the idea is they're never gonna eat in, then why wouldn't they make it so that she has she can move in there?
Maybe it's they're thinking it's gonna be dual purpose for when the summer comes and they're in the triple digit heat and the AC is just not cutting it. She can put her whole body in their fridge.
Yeah, I guess so. Just gonna need a
Um,
big fridge. Speaking of which, it's funny that you talked about, like, her whole I don't know if you were planning on talking about her whole, like, "I need to, like, get healthy," and then eating, like
yeah, eating for hours on live stream last
yeah.
night. That was comical.
Has I know you said Ramadan was going on. Has she, broken Ramadan yet? Or gone against it?
I mean, I feel like because I guess it depends on like the moon phases or something. And that's why it started late. It was supposed to start a few days ago.
Yeah.
And so I was under the assumption that it was supposed to start today, but I don't know like the time frame. I didn't bother looking it up.
Okay.
But she's been on the community tab all day going in on people. So I either she hasn't slept very much today
Happy
or
Ramadan, everybody.
she's trying to get it all out before Ramadan starts.
Ah, yes. I like it true.
But the community tab she's been blowing up. Now the subreddit is gone. The Reddit page that was dedicated to her is gone.
Right, that happened
So I'm sad about
like, right
that.
before we started almost.
Yeah.
I think you had put something up on your channel, or you put a post up talking about it, I saw,
Yeah.
and that was, like, right before we kinda started recording. So that's a new development,
Yeah.
which won't go well. I mean, we've talked about this before. We've talked about her kind of, she's picking fights with people, and you don't wanna pick fights with people who, like, have no lives because they will
Especially
fucking
going to
spend their
TikTok.
days to spite you. Yeah.
Especially her wanting to jump ship and do live streaming and memberships on TikTok because I guess there are like memberships on TikTok. I wasn't aware
I'm
that
sure
there were.
everything.
And I had a large following before on TikTok, but
Hooked up.
yeah, I deleted that
Shouldn't have deleted
account.
it. Anyway, no one will believe you. Now they're just gonna think you're making this
Yeah.
up.
Oh well.
You're stealing
But
comments.
anyhow, like she thinks that she can jump ship and just go to TikTok and like she doesn't have a very good following there either. She's sitting at I think a little over 3K.
Is she still turning off the comments for all her videos?
Yes, for all of the TikToks
So
that she has right now, there's no comments on them.
I'm just like, then what is the point of any of this?
Exactly. Like if you're not going to
She's not
allow
she's
people
not
to
opening
have an
discussion.
opinion on you, like they're allowed to have an opinion on you. You
Right.
don't have to interact with it. And that's the issue that she has. Like she can't just not interact with the negativity. Like I get negativity on my page when I covered the just this last episode where I covered the possibility that I thought that Chantal shared a lot of characteristics and symptoms of having Prader-Willi syndrome. And I had people come for me for claiming that I was diagnosing her when I was just questioning
Yeah, I mean,
things.
the difference is
And
that people
it's
watch
how
the
you
whole
respond
video.
to people though on it. Like
Yeah,
I
of course. Like, as I tell you, and I tell you this every time, you can get annoyed by mean comments because there are going to be a lot of angry comments. You can get annoyed by it. That's fine. But don't upload a video without being ready to receive negative comments. You
Yeah.
can get mad at them. I mean, that's perfectly fine. I think it's best to ignore them.
And there's
Personally.
also differentiating between people that are just wanting to be obnoxious and mean and people that are uninformed or misinformed from the
The problem is-
information.
The problem is on the internet, there seems to be no nice way of giving criticism. I've just noticed that people either love your stuff, and not you in particular, just in general,
Yeah.
love stuff unconditionally, have nothing bad to say about it, or like are so angrily giving criticism that it's like, and then they come back like it's just constructive criticism. Like, dude, look, you choose your words. Like, look at how you wrote this, and tell me that doesn't seem like it's coming from a place of anger. I mean, we don't have to get into this, and you can cut this if you want, but I looked at those comments on your thing, and I'm not gonna go into the specific one. But even the ones that, like, I could see where they were coming from in the sense of, like, they obviously just didn't listen to the whole episode.
But
We were talking about Foodie Beauty turning off her comments. That's kind of where
Yeah.
we're at.
but she's kind of notorious for that just because she doesn't handle criticism well or even a difference of opinion. And she can't
Right.
just come at you with information. She has to come at you and either dig at your appearance, not having a husband, which is her be all end all. If you're not taken by somebody, you're not, I guess, able to come at her for anything.
Yeah,
Or
like,
she
sorry your husband lives in fucking Syria, and, like, you had to pretty much destroy your whole previous life just to have a husband, yet now you can sit around and say, "I'm married, I have a husband. I can't wait for this marriage to fall apart." And see what she says then.
it's just infuriating because of how smug she is. And she just feels like she's untouchable when it comes to this stuff. And part of her, I guess, is because she's been able to do this for so long without any real consequence. And then she's sitting here saying that like she wants to leave YouTube altogether and she doesn't care if she doesn't make money from it anymore because Salah has his business. And I'm just like,
Then leave YouTube.
leave YouTube then.
Then leave YouTube, leave TikTok,
She's like, "Well,
fine.
what will all the reaction channels do then, huh?" And I was like, "What will we do?"
Move on. Move
We'll
on.
move on.
There's plenty of other people out there like you.
Yeah.
And that is a good point, like, but here's the point. If you don't like the reaction channels doing stuff about you, then stop making content. If you can so live without it, and you're, you know, what would they do without me? Okay, then go a fucking day without making either a video, going live, making a TikTok. But she can't do it
Or
because
infuriating people on your community posts.
because at the end of the day, she can say all she wants that the reaction channels need her, but she needs this more than anything. She needs the attention.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's good or bad attention. She needs the views, and she needs to be seen and heard because she's got a fucking problem in her head that she needs some sort of, validation from other people because she can't get it in her real life.
Oh, and
And
another
that's it.
interesting thing that she had said during, I think it was either this last live stream or the live stream before, how she's no longer taking any mood stabilizers or anything anymore, which I don't think is a good idea in her state. And this is probably why she's having so many manic episodes where she's like saying she's going to do one thing and then flip flops to the other extreme
I mean,
fairly
look,
quickly.
mental health is a subject for a whole nother thing. But at the end of the day, that's her life and her choices and her consequences for the choices she makes. If she knows that she's supposed to be on this medication and it's supposed to, you know, say,
Well,
still
also, I
look,
think she
you
went
you you
off of
can
it because in Kuwait, I don't think they allow those medications.
I don't know about that, and I'm not saying,
I'm
like, you're
gonna
wrong. I'm saying
search it really quick because
I
I could have
I
sworn.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't I literally don't know. I have no idea. I don't know anything about Kuwait. Uh, but all I can say is, you can defend somebody for having mental health problems, but at the end of the day, if they're not gonna if they know that they have mental health problems and they refuse to do anything about it, at a certain point, everybody has struggles, and you shouldn't be, like, forgiven just because you have problems. If you refuse to do anything about your problems and you act out because of these problems, you don't deserve you are not, like, untouchable. You are not like, "Well, I have mental health problems." Like, yes, but you have mental health problems, and you are actively, like, doing things you are actively, like, not treating it, and you were actively like, refusing to take medication, refusing to see a doctor, refusing to talk to somebody. You can't just use this as a shield for everything you do in your life. Everybody has problems. Everybody has mental health problems.
I just looked it up, and I just looked up our antidepressants banned in Kuwait, and it says that the health ministry in Kuwait has banned the use of tranquilizers, antidepressants, and some instances sleeping pills, only and except for extreme cases associated with certain types of mental illnesses. So she would have to
Talk to a doctor and
be, like, certified needing them to be able to get them, and I think the reason that she stopped taking them is just because she would have to undergo that testing there to be able
when
to
she doesn't
continue
want to.
them, and she's not gonna do
Most
that.
likely, I mean, you think most likely if she truly needs them, then she would be allowed to be medicated there. I mean,
Well,
if she
only in
truly
extreme
needs,
cases. So unless she's,
well, what do they consider extreme cases?
like, if you're a harm to other people.
Hmm. Mm, I don't know. I mean, it's a different place. It's a different,
And
you know.
it says it's because they have seen problems caused by their overuse in the Western, world, so if
Yeah,
you're
but there's also
dependent
the
upon them, you're not gonna get them.
it's also the underuse in the Western world that has caused problems as well.
Yeah.
Eh, but that being said, it's a whole different. It's a life. It's a whole place that's based around religion, which is always. I'm not even gonna say a mistake. It's just, when your rules are all connected to religion, there is no give or take
Yeah.
on things. It's either this is what's right and this is what's wrong, and it doesn't matter what you say or do. That's the way it is, and that's just the way that Kuwait is, and that's why people who are used to living in separation of church and state place, even though they're
The
getting
US is
smaller
getting
and smaller.
further and further from that.
Right. But it is still a far cry from actual places like this that, women can't even be seen without a full hijab on.
Well, they
So
can, they can. She chooses not to.
what?
Yeah.
What the fuck did
Women
they put this stupid thing up?
women, in Kuwait
That
can go without a hijab and without an abaya. They can wear just normal clothes
then why did she say that she had to put this up if she wasn't wearing her hijab?
because Salah prefers that she wears a hijab and an abaya
Someone wants to
and
date a big
keep her
couch.
covered.
Yeah, I bet he does. She needs the full face covering, and then he'll be
And
happy.
maybe
No,
it's his
whole
way.
fa- the dude's not even from there. Like,
Well, it's still the same religion.
I guess.
It's the religion that he's following, not where
I
he's
don't know if he cares about the religion so much that she has to wear the full hijab, but he didn't care enough to actually marry somebody who was from that religion.
well.
That's pretty telling. He just wants to cover her up as much as he can.
I also feel like it's his way of holding her accountable for how she was prior to wearing the hijab and abaya because she was very as you know, we had the fupa
Yeah, he doesn't
full
want he does
view,
not want her fupa to
the
fall out.
fupa full Monty quite a few times during some live streams.
I don't know. It's weird. I'd love to jump into the mind of Salah and see what his end game is because I don't know. I really don't know.
You know,
Yeah.
I thought used to think that, like, when I first started hearing him in her live streams and her vlogs that she has, his dialect is so robotic. No matter, like, what language he is speaking, he's very monotone. And I thought, well, maybe it's just these aren't his native languages, and that's why. it's coming off that way. But hearing other people that are also Syrians that he's friends with talk, it's like, no, this is just him. He seems so like void of personality until it comes time for him to start like throwing homophobic and slurs around. He loves doing that.
You've gotta have your me time. So,
Yeah.
you gotta just kick back and relax and be yourself sometimes.
He really loves throwing around the homophobic slurs when it comes to Nodder and
Yeah.
the other men that come after Foodie.
Imagine being jealous of Nodder.
Yeah.
Anyway. But, I mean, we could talk in circles, but, I assume you're ready to move on to the next subject.
Yes, we can move on to Amberlynn's
Just
latest.
because I know we'll talk circles about her, and I think
Yeah.
thing, and I know that I tend to drone on, so I don't want to jump that too long tonight.
But Amberlynn's latest vlog update, her vlogs are getting more and more boring, and you can tell by the decline in views that people really aren't into the vlogging that she's doing.
It's funny because Ashley this morning told me, "Hey, we're gonna react to Chantal's thing, and then we're gonna do Amberlynn. She had a new video." I was like, "Oh, well, how long is her video?" And it's just funny because Ashley's like, "Man, 15 minutes is really boring." I'm like, "That's what we're not gonna react to," and she's like, "God, no." There's nothing happened. You were like, nothing happened except the end. Like,
Yeah, and even at the end, it was like she does this so well. She's done it many times before, where she like alludes to something like really stressful and like debilitating going on in her life, but then doesn't share what that is.
of course, we've talked about this because once she tells you what her problem is, she
Then she
doesn't
can't get
like
the
the
views from
answer.
people.
She doesn't like the answer because the answers are always simple. It's always, you know, it- it's always just like she just wants to be like like pitied. And
Yeah.
once people know the full story and can tell her like what she needs to do about it, when she doesn't do anything about it, the pity stops and it starts being like, well, are you going to do anything about it? Or are you just going to complain about it? And she just wants to complain about it. So the less she tells you, the like you could all like the imagination can be the tool that she uses to get pity.
But she went on and it was a weight loss surgery update it was supposed to be. And she waited until the end of the vlog to say anything and said that she had went on a tangent before filming that part and decided to delete it because she said it was like over 15 minutes long in itself. And I was like, I mean, that could have helped your vlog here for one, but she said that she was crying and stuff during it, and she's like, it was too much information to share, and she didn't want to do that. So she re-recorded it, and basically all she said was she's meeting with the bariatric team, including the surgeon, sometime next week, and they're gonna go from there on deciding when her weight loss surgery is gonna be, if they're gonna have the weight loss surgery in a time frame and not make her just wait a year to see
Yeah.
whether or not she binges or not. And then she went on to say like she's confused by doctors and stuff discussing binge eating disorder because she seems to think that every doctor and specialist that she's talked to have a different definition of what binge eating is. And I was like, no, there's only one definition for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe her brain is not like handling it right.
I think she's so used to hearing certain catchphrases from doctors that she just kind of puts them all together and all encompasses what they're supposed to mean.
Yeah. Or doctors are giving her different wordings and she's like, "They're telling me different things." It's like, "No, I mean, there's a thing called, different like the dictionary and there's a bunch of words in there, so they may not all use the same exact terminology."
Yeah, use the same diction.
But like at the end of the day, it's not super hard to explain binge eating disorder. She
No.
knows what it is. She doesn't need it explained to her. She has it. She knows she has it. If she didn't have it, she wouldn't have been able to tell that she would have gotten the surgery. But she
Yeah.
could go without telling that doctor that she had it, right? Like, she was so
Yeah.
sure she had it, and she had to tell because she had to tell the truth and just in case. So,
But that was really the only update that she did, and she's like, "I'm just going through a lot of things personally and health-wise, and
she's going
I'm
through a
just
lot
not
of
wanting
food.
to share it with you guys just yet," and all the and it's like, this is a repeat of the last time she tried pulling in views
It's an
for weight
update
loss
for an
surgery.
update. It's an
Huh?
update for an it's an update for an update.
Yeah. It
I mean,
it's
that's
it's
how it is.
classic Amber, and this is the reason that her channel's gonna start tanking even more. It's so boring. Like, so boring.
But according to her, she doesn't care. So, good for
Yeah,
her.
good for her. I mean,
I mean, she doesn't want the negative comments, she won't get them. She won't get any comments, but she won't get the negative ones because
yeah.
people will stop caring. I mean, look, you're we talk about two people on this podcast, and they're both sides of the spectrum. They're Foodie Beauty, who is so, like, obnoxious and, like, there's so much always going on that it's almost, like, annoying to watch, or is Amber that there's nothing going on and it's annoying to watch.
Well, they both share traits as well. Like,
Of course. They
they
do share a lot
both
of
cannot
traits.
take criticism. They
No, but I mean,
both
that's a lot of YouTubers. That they're not they don't it's not just them. I mean, a lot of people can't take criticism, which makes me wonder why people put themselves out there if they're not gonna be able to handle criticism.
yeah. I mean, this isn't a big channel, but I've been a part of bigger social media platforms, and I just don't let the negative stuff affect me to that level to where I
I
have
mean,
to address it.
we've talked about this, and I talked about this the other day, and, you responded to a lot of your negative comments, and this can be cut. You responded to a lot of your negative comments, and what I'd said was, the reason to respond to negative comments really is to just it's almost to defend yourself because a lot of the negative comments were saying, "Don't diagnose her," and the truth is you didn't diagnose her.
No.
You didn't, and so you kinda had to respond to those comments to be like, "Look, I'm not diagnosing her. I said it in the video. I didn't like, this is just a
Yeah,
speculation."
I made a point to
And, like,
say in the
that
video that I was not diagnosing her. I wasn't claiming that she had the disorder. I also claimed it in the description of the episode that this wasn't a diagnosis. I was just questioning due to the fact that she shares so many of the symptoms, and that
Right.
through research I found that it's on a spectrum, that there can be varying degrees of having this disorder. So,
Right, but the point of me bringing that up is there's a huge difference between defending yourself and not being able to handle criticism.
well, I
You
it,
should be able to defend you
there's
should be able to defend
defending.
yourself. You can't just, like, let somebody say something that's, like, factually not true and then not respond and have people think, "Oh, well, she didn't respond. That must be true." Like, you need if you didn't diagnose her and were just giving an opinion and someone saying, "Don't diagnose." Well, I didn't diagnose. But if someone says, "Hey, your podcast is really boring," it's like, "Okay, that's your opinion and that's fine." You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
big difference between defending yourself and, you know, not being able to handle negative, criticism.
Well, that, and I feel like with Chantal, she doesn't handle criticism because she feels the need to rage about it, like try to tear the person down for questioning things that she's shared information on herself, or just speculating things instead of just setting the record straight and, you know, matter of factly laying out the information to discredit the other person. She just attacks your character, or attacks your looks, or goes after your family, or calls you a bad mother. Like,
Right. I mean,
all of these
Chantal
things.
Chantal kinda responds like a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, kicking her feet.
Well, they both do, because Amber is the opposite. She victimizes herself and thinks that it's fat phobia, that it's people
Right,
hating her because
because
she's fat, and that's not the case. Like, I'm sure there's people out there that don't like her because of how big she is, but more so than not, it's because of who she is shared on the platform, like what kind of person she's shown us.
I'm gonna give you the ability to cut this because I'm gonna say something that I'm sure could go real bad.
Okay.
You know, you said like they hate her because she's fat, and to be fair, I feel like that is almost a valid criticism of her, and not because like I hate you because you're fat, but I like the way she acts and the lifestyle that she lives. It can be annoying for people to see, and then she complains about all these problems. And it's directly tied to her weight, and she's not doing a single thing about it, yet she expects, like, sympathy for her weight in a situation that she's fully put herself in.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's going to be the end of tonight's podcast. Thank you, Liam, for joining me. Thank you guys for listening. And until next time, bye.
Bye.